Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Dr. Gregory Leskin, and I serve as the Program Director for Military Families at the National Child Traumatic Stress Network, and it's a real pleasure to be with you today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia Yeary, and I'm the Director of Military Family Projects at 0 to 3. There's so much that you do every day to help your child grow into strong, independent, and capable adults. You probably have heard some talk about how young children's brains develop and how living with a lot of stress can actually impact a child's ability to do well in school and their ability to sleep soundly, even their physical health. What children need is to know that someone is madly in love with them and that that same person will always keep them safe. You see, having that feeling of safety, knowing that they have a secure base, that's the foundation for their sense of well-being that allows a child to focus on their own growth and development instead of focusing on the danger they perceive around them. That's why it's so important that you stay aware of what your child is picking up from you as you go about your day. Your kids are little listeners, absorbing all of your feelings in very important ways. Their stress level and their level of calm is directly influenced by how you present yourself to them. With COVID-19, there's been so much going on that we just don't have answers for, like how long it will last, and when can we get vaccinated, and how long will the vaccine work, and when will businesses and schools open up. You might find your own tension building as you deal with all of this, and find that you're watching more news, trying to find answers with, or talking with your friends about your big feelings. And then, sometimes your talking becomes emoting or getting highly emotional. And your kids are right there listening and absorbing and wondering, am I safe? When you control your big emotions and presence, even if you're talking with others about those big feelings inside, it provides your children a sense of security that they need. This cue from you is huge and makes a big difference. I'd like to share a story shared by my friend, Dr. Amy Dixon from Louisiana State University. She was doing emergency psychological first aid with children and their caregivers as they were rescued in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. You've seen some of those pictures, really scary pictures of the flowing water, rushing water, and those rescues that were being done. Well, Dr. Dixon shared with me that she had interviewed two children and their mother right after they were rescued from the raging waters. Her two children, 4 and 6, were on a door that they had found floating in the water, and the mom was clinging onto it with everything that she had. Mom was able to kick that makeshift raft to the land where a couple of heroes helped them out of the water. Sounds pretty scary, right? Dr. Dixon shared that she thought the kids would be totally traumatized, but in fact, the kids were just fine. Mom needed some trauma therapy and support, but the kids were doing great. Why? Because mom knew how important it was to keep her cool. She didn't want her daughters frightened. And with her quick thinking, she told her daughters that they were going on an adventure, just like Dora the Explorer. And she started singing Dora songs that she knew from watching the shows with her kids. Her children didn't even realize that they were in danger. Now, to be honest, I don't know if I would be that quick-witted to think of Dora and her friends like this mom did. However, no matter the circumstance, we know that if you, as the caregiver, know how to regulate your emotions so that you can present a calm exterior, your kids are going to benefit. Now, it doesn't mean you can't ever lose your cool, but it means it's important for you to know how to regain your composure so that you can let your kids know that even though there's some scary things going on, or even if you're feeling frustrated or angry or sad, that you see them, you hear them, and you'll always keep them safe. This is something you can learn how to do, and you'll get better and better at it with practice.
I know firsthand the many extraordinary difficulties and challenges parents are currently facing due to COVID. First and foremost, parents have a responsibility to keep their families safe and healthy during a global pandemic and need to adjust to the many ongoing restrictions that have resulted, including limited opportunities to socialize and interact with others. The daily hassles alone have resulted in increased pressure, worry, and stress on parents. Recent research suggests that more Americans are experiencing stress, anxiety, feelings of loss and depression, and losing sleep as a result of the pandemic and its impact on the family. It is also possible that some of the stress will be felt and expressed as frustration or even irritation towards others, or even becoming upset and raising our voices or saying harsh or hurtful words to others, including towards our children and our youth. Parents may cope with their stress or frustration by withdrawing from others and not attending to the needs of their children, or by self medicating themselves with food or alcohol or other substances. It is critically important that parents be mindful about how they express themselves as well as what they share in front of their children and youth. Listen, I know things can get messy and complicated at home or work or school or within our larger groups of family and friends, and these stresses can feel overwhelming to us. However, expressing our anger or sharing our frustrations with or in front of our children may actually make things more difficult and lead to children who feel less secure or even more aggressive or who act out verbally or physically. This is because children and youth will take cues from or learn from or imitate their parents and their ways of coping with the stress. Children who watch their parents argue may experience long term emotional impact, such as increased anxiety or lower self esteem. On the other hand, when a parent or caregiver demonstrates calm or reassures their children when dealing with stressful life experiences, children and youth tend to feel supported, secure, and less anxious. This means that it can be very important when parents feel upset to take a time out for yourself or even take a short break to calm down. Remind yourself to take a few deep breaths before responding or sharing emotionally sensitive information or even yelling in front of a child. This brief pause can give you just a few seconds you need to calm your body and mind to a more relaxed way of responding. In fact, you have many options open to you rather than expressing anger, frustration, fear, or hurtful words in front of your children. Coming from a calm place will allow you to better consider these options. For example, this brief moment will allow you to pause and take a look at why you're feeling angry or frustrated. Use those few moments to take some deep, long breaths and think about how you're experiencing the anger in your body. Examine any thoughts associated with the anger or frustration. With training, taking a few moments of self reflection can allow you to divert your anger away from others and allow some time to lessen the intense negative emotional state. If you need, take some more time. Feel free to take a short walk or go outside for a breath of fresh air. Text a friend to talk through the situation. Once you feel calmer, then try to speak with your children, include them in finding better long-term solutions, otherwise known as family planning and problem solving together. Rather than trying to solve problems immediately by getting frustrated or yelling, try to find longer term solutions that will include your children in the process. If you are still feeling frustrated, seek out ways in private with family, friends, or even a therapist to better understand and gain a perspective on your feelings or frustrations. That's a great approach to ensuring that your children are protected and help them to grow emotionally and in a very safe and secure family environment.
I have more research to share with you. Experimental research confirms that babies can sense when their parents are distressed, and that stress is contagious. Dr. Ginger Moore at Pennsylvania State found that 6-month-old infants, as young as 6-month-olds, become physiologically reactive to stressful situations after looking at angry faces, and that their emotions are closely tied to that of their caregiver. That means that they have a reaction in their fight, flight, or freeze system, their physiological stress response system, when they see someone who looks angry, and they'll in turn become fussy or sad or angry or more fearful more quickly than babies who don't frequently see angry faces. Of course, this stress response means baby is less likely to be focused on exploring their world and learning and more focused on wondering if they're safe. Think about the times your children are with you, and you might show them with your facial expressions that all isn't right in the world while you're watching the TV or watching the news, on a phone call with a friend, or doom scrolling, right? Or talking with a family member, or even talking with one of their siblings. Occasionally showing your displeasure may not influence your child, but we now know that routinely exposing your child to this more stressful facial situations actually can cause your child to feel vulnerable. And these vulnerabilities, these feelings of not being safe, affect their overall behavior when they're with others, making them more angry and frustrated and sad. What about saving your loud fights with others for when your child is asleep? You know, the whole, well, the baby was asleep when we were fighting, so it wasn't a big deal. Well, actually, it is. Dr. Alice Graham and her colleagues at the University of Oregon studied this, and what they found out that babies' brains were affected by angry voice tones even when they're sleeping. Yep. The results of the study indicated babies became more sensitive to sounds of anger and would more quickly become physiologically reactive with their own stress response. Research shows that these children are at risk of experiencing anxiety and depression as adolescents. The cool thing is this response can be reversed. That's right. Babies who hear positive and affirming messages can return to their more positive way of responding. So the support children receive from their caregiver comes not just in the words you say, but in how you are when you are with your child, even when they're sleeping. This is why we stress how important it is that you take care of yourself and make sure that you are taking the time needed and seeking the support you deserve so you can be there for your young child.
Whether during the day or at night, it's important to remember to take time out or pause when we get upset or before we get angry or yell at our children. Indeed, in the process, we are teaching our children how to remain calm and for them to take a pause when they become upset versus responding with anger towards others, including expressing physical and verbal anger towards others. So, what are some approaches that we could teach our children to take a time out or pause? First, teach them how you would stay calm by taking a deep, slow breath, and explain how you can do this, especially when you're feeling upset or scared or tense in your bodies. For some children, it might be important to take a longer pause or time out. For adults and children who become anxious or emotionally distressed, it can be very helpful to focus on the word stop with the goal to not becoming overly angry towards others. STOP. Each of these letters will also allow you to think about how best to respond to intense anger. For example, the S can be in stop can mean say it calmly. Like an example would be to start with an I statement like I am feeling and focus on saying it calmly. Next, T can stand for Turn around. Remember, the T stands for a time out, a turn around, walk away, take a walk, and drink a glass of water. Any of these will work well to give you a pause and to reconsider your options. Which brings us to O. O represents that you have options, including taking a few deep breaths and thinking about other ways to respond without all the anger. Finally, P. P means or can represent pause, to remain calm and in control. But it can also mean giving yourself praise for taking the time to think about some alternatives to expressing anger in front of your kids. I have read that the secrets of calm parenting is learning to take a pause before responding. No parent is perfect, and we all get upset. When we practice being calm parents, we are practicing effective and healthy parents, as well as helping our children to learn to stay calm as well.
I agree with Greg, how powerful it is as a parent to remember to practice the pause. Taking time to breathe, focus on what you need, and waiting so you don't say things that you don't want to say. But even as a therapist with over 40 years of experience, I still make mistakes. Yep, we are all human. And when you know that you might have been a little scary to your little ones, what I say is shine a light on it. Now, you might be saying, Julia, that's just crazy talk. What do you mean? It's better to pretend it never happened. So I lost my cool. I'll make it up by spoiling my child just a bit, right? Won't that work? No, I don't feel that works very well. What it can do is end up confusing your child even more. They might end up worrying about which version of you they're going to get, the scary one or the spoiling one. Instead, when you shine a light on it and admit that you wish you had handled it differently, you're modeling repair with your child. You are letting your child know that when you make a mistake, you can admit it and try it, do it differently the next time. This is a great lesson for your child, that sometimes our emotions are bigger than we can handle, and we can admit it, take the pause, do some positive actions to get ourselves to the place we need to be, as Greg mentioned, then say we're sorry and even ask for help if we need it. One of the tools I use the most when I feel tension and I want to make sure it doesn't leak out, like when I'm driving and another car cuts me off, endangering everyone in the car, and instead of swearing, I can do what I call 3-5-7 breathing. I breathe in slowly for a count of 3, then out for a count of 3. Then I breathe in for a count of 5 and out for a count of 5. And then you guessed it, I breathe in for a count of 7 and out for a count of 7. And usually that helps me return to the present instead of staying angry. It helps my brain to get back in control. Taking time for the pause changes your frame of mind and allows your mind to be in control instead of your stress response. And importantly, it allows you to make sure that your little listeners are only picking up the positive things you want them to feel and hear. 0 to 3's app, Babies on the Home Front, also has other ideas about parental self-care, including a 3-minute relaxation exercise that you can use anytime you need to use it.
Parenting can be difficult, parenting can be complicated, and things can get messy. We can all feel overwhelmed. The goal is not perfection, but rather remaining calm, especially during more stressful times. We want you to know that if you need help, assistance is definitely available. If you or your child is experiencing mental health concerns such as ongoing stress, anxiety, depression, loneliness, we encourage you to seek out professional counseling through behavioral health or a military family life consultant. If you require assistance, feel free to call Military One Source at 1-800-342-9647 or check in with an advice nurse. Finally, The National Child Traumatic Stress Network has created a fact sheet entitled Parent Caregiver Guide to Helping Families Cope with COVID-19. And you'll see the URL, the link for that resource here. This fact sheet is very helpful for military parents to understand ways to discuss COVID with children and youth, as well as ways to support your child to get assistance if they experience any mental health concerns. Thank you for all you do every day for your family and for your country, and let's not forget for yourselves. You are helping to make the world a better place, and we really do feel much gratitude for your doing so. Thank you so much.